The City of Witches, Episode 37, Waiting for Angelo, Chapter 1. Giovanna woke up feeling energetic. The day seemed bright, but there was something in the air, some kind of surprise. She couldn't really tell whether it was a nice surprise or not. But Giovanna liked surprises. She started every day by reading tarot cards. Not only it let her get ready for the day, but also train her intuition. Tarot never tells its prophecies literally. One always needs to decode them from a set of symbols. That decoding was a lot of fun for Giovanna. She liked seeing how her interpretations matched the day, and mismatches were always funny, even if she didn't show it. Giovanna went through her morning routine and laid down her cards. They formed an interesting combination. First card was the Lovers. The Hermit seemed to demand the most attention from Giovanna, and the set was finished with the Hanged Man. Giovanna quickly jumped to interpreting. She noticed a connection between the Lovers and the Hermit immediately. Whenever she saw the Lovers in a position that suggested they signified a person, she thought of her boyfriend, Angelo. And usually she was not wrong. And if the Hermit referred to Angelo, it had to be about a long journey. Angelo was a bounty hunter, so he was usually on a mission. The question was what the Hermit was about. It had to describe the mission somehow, that was for sure, but how did it relate? Giovanna tried to find some interpretation. She jumped from one version of the story to another. Then she had an idea. The Hermit is the 12th card of the major arcana, and if Giovanna remembered correctly, Angelo was just after his 11th mission. So maybe this one single time she was supposed to interpret the card literally. Likely. It was definitely nice to see how Angelo was moving through the contract. Out of the 13 missions he had to do, he was starting his second to last. Soon he will be free of the contract. I have to call him when he's still here, Giovanna thought. I wonder what he's supposed to do. Giovanna took out her phone and called her boyfriend. He picked up just after the second signal. I'll have to be quick. I'm in a line at the boarding gate at the airport. What's up, honey? That definitely took Giovanna off guard. Angelo was already at the airport. Wait, the airport? What was he supposed to do on this mission, and more importantly, where? What are you doing at the airport? Said Giovanna. Going to Poland for a small mission. Got some ogres arguing over territory, said Angelo. That's really far away, isn't it? Said Giovanna. Yeah, and of course the Brexit had to make traveling such a hassle. At least the mission sounds easy. Yeah, I'll likely be done in about a day, but seeing how the airports are working, I think it's safe to say I'll be back in about 4 days. That's a long time. I hope you're getting an easy job. Yeah, me too. I have to go now. It's boarding time. And the phone fell silent. At least Giovanna confirmed that her assumptions were correct. And, well, 3 days aren't that much anyway. At Macbeth's, Giovanna met with 3 of her friends, just as usual. However, Angelo was absent from the dinner. Instead of him, there was Lily, Ursula's fairy sister. The boy's absence could not go unnoticed. Angelo isn't with us today, said Sarah. No, he's on a mission abroad today, said Giovanna. Another call to the fairy realm? Asked Lily. No, he has something to take care of in Poland, said Giovanna. I wonder what he will get into this time, said Ursula. Oh, trust me, I'm curious about that too, said Giovanna. I hope he returns soon. Giovanna bit into her burger and thought about her lover. They were apart for just about half a day, and she was already missing him. She couldn't help but imagine all the different scenarios in which Angelo could find himself on the mission. Maybe it was just some diplomatic talk, or maybe another case of silencing. She got really impatient and couldn't wait for his new story. I really miss him, said Giovanna. Hey, Does any of you have some kind of interesting topic we could talk about? I want to take my mind off Angelo. Everybody tried to come up with some kind of an interesting topic for discussion, including Lily. She was nibbling on a pepper she got from Ursula's burger. Of course, the pepper was oversized. She remembered that she heard some news that morning. Some news from the place she called home until recently. You know, our little sabotage seems to have shaken the fairy realm, said Lily. Really? What's going on there? Asked Ursula. Omiyak and Nishvanat escaped the capital and it got captured back by the governmental army. The country will soon be free, said Lily. Wait, but they didn't catch the bosses? Asked Sarah. No, they are escaping justice constantly, said Lily. But don't worry, the surviving cells of the armies are quickly being broken out. It sounds optimistic. But they are freeing a lot of cities, said Lily. Hokinikem, Katiisi, Siiatin Kumla, Pankikon, Sampati. Sorry, but you're the only one who recognizes any of these names, said Sarah. I do recognize some, said Ursula. But yes, I agree that it might have been a little overkill. Sorry, I might have gotten a bit excited, said Lily. You know, I can't wait to go back home. Speaking of, I always wondered how it feels to be a fairy, said Sarah. Don't get me wrong, I'm not interested in becoming a fairy myself, but I want to know how such body might feel like, especially since you wanted to transform. Lily got really excited about this question. She remembered all the novel sensations from the little honeymoon she had with her new body. When I ate that berry and grew my wings, I felt right, said Lily. It feels like you discover a new kind of lightness, as if you find your own wonderful airstream that can hold you in the air perfectly. Oh, I remember how excited my sister was about showing me her wings, said Ursula. It was really hard to keep up with her in the air. Sorry about that. I guess it's just natural when you feel the freedom of being in your dream body, said Lily. Oh, and I can't forget about the language. How does the language get into that? Asked Sarah. You know, each time people of West Monoing Island were complimenting my language skills, I felt more connected to them. I felt more like a part of a community I always wanted to belong to, said Lily. I miss that. That kindness not bound by the fear of the mafia tyrants. So how does it feel now? Asked Sarah. I don't know, said Lily. I've spent so many time not being able to appreciate being a fairy properly. I wish it could have lasted a bit longer. I've heard that the levels of happiness even out after some time anyway. Something about adaptation to new conditions, said Giovanna. Maybe you're right, said Lily. But that doesn't mean I can try. When I return home, I'll try to make the best of my time as a fairy. You sound really hype about it, said Sarah. Now that I know how easily the days of peace can go away, it's all the more reason to make the best of them, said Lily. Well, I wish you the best, said Giovanna. For a moment, the group fell silent again. Then Sarah tried to continue the talk. Hey, I recently found this cool anime series. It's been a long time since I've gotten so into anything, said Sarah. I'm not saying it's my cup of tea, but sure, go on, said Giovanna. It's called Bang X3, Sarah started to describe the show. It's about this pair of friends who search for aliens and cryptids together. They get into many strange adventures and try to solve mysteries of the city. Each episode is so action-packed that you won't even notice as you blaze through them. Sounds interesting indeed, said Giovanna. I have seen it too, said Ursula. While the science fiction or horror themes may not be to your liking, you are going to like the characters' relationships. Once again, we get into relationships, huh? Said Giovanna. Don't worry about your boyfriend. Sometimes some time of separation is very beneficial for your love, said Lily. You say, said Giovanna. Yes, of course. It allows you to remember why you love each other, said Lily. I have to say that I only remember that after the Iron Coup. Speaking of which, I kind of wonder how your coup will be called, said Ursula. We'll have to see, said Lily. Well, now I started wondering, how are your parents feeling about Lily going back? Asked Sarah. Surprisingly, they seem to ignore that, said Lily. Don't misunderstand me, they seem kind of live their own lives and forget about us. I think it is kind of because of they are struggling in finding appropriate ways to take care of us, said Ursula. Do you remember how taken aback they were when I was diagnosed with autism and you came out as a fairykin? You might be right, said Lily. The talks continued until there was no food left to eat. Overall, Giovanna felt a bit better and more patient.